I'd like to call the meeting of the Municipal Airport Authority to order for Tuesday, October 24th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the October 10th meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carried. Do we have a motion to approve the airport vouchers totaling $289,162.96?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have individual vouchers A through G. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion about any of the individual vouchers A through G? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a request on item number 4, I believe.
Mr. Chairman, I would, if possible, I would like to move item 4 down, so right after item 6. If possible.
Megan,
Need a motion? What's that?
Megan needs to be somewhere.
Yes, I'm scheduling conflict, so I'm supposed to be 2 places at once right now, so that's why we
We'll
have.
bring number 6 up
Yeah.
to discuss.
Yeah, let's bring number 6 up. To move, so we'll take up number 6 and then 4.
All right. Any objections? A little housekeeping change. All right. Number 4 and number 6 together. Number 4, at a previous meeting, we had added to the budget to create a CFO position and then ask Pro Resources, our contractor, to help us with that job description. They worked with staff, Sean, put forth a job description here, and so this ties into what we'll be doing with item number 6 also. Thank you, Mr. Bird.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
If you could just very quickly run through the highlights of that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Good morning, so I'm Megan from Core Resources. I'm Airport's HR manager. So Sean sent me some, after our last meeting on August 8th, Sean sent me some sample job descriptions from other airports around the US. And then I also pulled some job descriptions for just general financial director positions. So you see here the essential job duties and responsibilities. Like in the email I sent out last week, I highlighted some just because this is a new position. I don't think we're fully aware of what the full scope of the job will entail. So like one of those questions being, will they supervise anybody? Because there might be some modifications to the job duties and responsibilities based on whether or not there's a lot of staff that they need to be supervising. I know the recommendation was to have the title as a chief financial officer. I had recommended that maybe we change it to a financial director. I think that's gonna open it up to have more people apply. And then also, maybe lower that wage expectation a little bit and then have a little bit of room for career advancement if this position were to continue and grow and have more people supervise, then we have that option to move to the chief financial officer. And then again, another recommendation to have this position be exempt, so they're not an hourly and we're not on the line for overtime, which is fair with the, which is in line with the Fair Labor Standards Act as well. Otherwise, as you see on the attachment, pretty self-explanatory on duties. Again, think about that we'll change these as we go as the position develops and more duties are assigned. Otherwise, the main ones that we were kind of questioning were the 3 highlighted ones, number 9, number 10, and number 14. Again, just based on what your guys' recommendation would be and what you'd like to see this position do.
Questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah, thanks, Megan. I appreciate the way you've laid this out. I I think one of the reasons I want to put these together is I think as we go forward here, maybe you'll understand one of the challenges that we have here. And I think most of these roles, of course, are being taken care of by our current staff. I went through and there's probably a handful of them that would be, and maybe, I think the issue is we're probably, one of our challenges here, we're embarking on a major capital investment, 140 million plus another 40 million. So 200 million of improvements here. So I think really what we need is not a financial director, but we need a much higher level overview of that. We have different parts, but the parts aren't working together. So I think, from my perspective, Mr. Chairman, I really appreciate putting this together so we can look at that. And I think we need to just kind of digest this with everything else and make a decision a little bit further down the road if this is an in-staff person that we want to have, or not.
Or consultant,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
That's fair.
great job on this appointment.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion there at this point? Otherwise, I think we just receive and file this at this point. And go from there. We do have still an old item with you with the performance reviews. We exchanged emails. I know that you had made the recommendation based on an article that you read, not do performance reviews. Presentation back on this.
Cash beginning.
Like to do that, and that also revenue, I think, ties into your recognition
Here,
about
just follow
the. What I received from you, like email, is what I was, an article you read. Didn't need to do those, so.
I could specifically want that done as well.
And I think the difference in that is like some employers, yes,
Simple,
do performance reviews on an annual basis. And in all conversations with Sean,
So the
the
detail.
supervisors right now are currently giving daily feedback and the employees are seeming to like that. And then again, I shared last time in the exit interviews
Yeah,
that I
I-
completed.
Let's not get into it now, but let's bring that back to the board. Again,
Shows these two.
the request was for what
I
we
think
need
it's
to do to implement
if they,
Yeah.
that's
whether
the description.
that they would be here.
Sounds good. Thank you for your time.
All right,
Thanks for squeezing this in. Yes, thank you.
okay.
That's the loan.
Item number 6 is, we jump over that, is our update from SP Plus as we look at the revenue generation. And again, I think this ties back to our CFO position is, the agenda item here is financial analysis, rate analysis, which I think SP Plus can help us with, but we probably need some more detailed financial analysis. So, Greg, I see you're on the phone there. We've got three rather lengthy spreadsheets here, and we're going to give a comment.
So I just have a question, I kind of reviewed these, and I guess my question for Greg is really the total revenue that we're going to receive in 2023, just from parking revenue. What is the amount that we'll receive, our estimate, by December 31st of 23?
Great question. We're about quarter of a way to the fourth quarter, if you will. So things right now, one of the things John tasked me with was going and looking at day by day how much we generated through the month of October. So I did add that to that initial revenue forecast. Based on that most recent forecast, again, this is a moving target, we're looking at approximately 6.4 for 2023. If everything continues to trend as it's trended through October 15th. But again, December, we started to really spike, so I would not be surprised if we're at 6.6 or something else, but just based off the trend, 6.4 is what we're anticipating for 2023.
Greg, did you provide that estimate? to everybody, or was that something just shared with me at this time?
I think it was shared with you, I believe Mr. Bird was on the email, I could be wrong, but it was shared with you and Sean for sure.
Yeah, I don't have it here with me, but I thought we were coming out pretty close to 6.7, with October, November, December. We've seen increases, month over month, for the past year at 40 and 50% rate, which does take into account the rate increase that we put in place last October. So we may not see 40 to 50% because part of that was influenced by the rate increase. But we're still seeing significant 20+% increases as we look at sort of a flash report for the first half of October and anticipation in November and December. So I thought we were getting closer to 6.7.
No, you're right, the model I sent reflects 6.6 to be exact, but that includes obviously some growth forecast. If I just straight line and take everything as it's trending through October 15th, that's 6.4 that I just shared with you. But again, we expect growth each month, so based off of that forecast, you're 100% correct.
Yeah, I just think we need to understand each other's terms here. And Mr. Berg, I think you were asking for the estimate of revenue for
Yeah.
your
Mr. Chairman, I guess I've been very, very frustrated the last month and a half. We've got very good people. SP Plus is very good at the parking. Leibowitz and Horton is very good at looking at the long-term numbers. We've got, bookkeepers that are doing our bookkeeping. But I have been trying for the last 6 weeks to get everyone to come together and put the performer together on the parking ramp. And so my challenge is we don't have one person that's representing us to get this done. And I look at this, and again, no disrespect, but if this 3 pages that we have in front of us start with 6.3 million, and we know that it's going to be 6.6 or 6.7 million the first year, this whole 25-year analysis is off. And, that's pretty substantial. So, Mr. Chairman, what I'd like to do is, we had IDE help us initially, and what I'd like to do is have IDE pull this together and work with Leibowitz and work with SP Plus, so we know exactly what the assumptions are, and we can look at it and say, okay, we agree with that, we know what the cost is, we vote to go ahead with the parking or not. So, and I think we had a motion to use them before, but if you'd like another motion to that effect, I'd be happy to make it.
Well, I think we have an opportunity at the same time, as we look at the CFO position is, I believe ideally has a CFO for hire program. And that might be something that we could look at as an interim measure here, as opposed to trying to hire and bring somebody up to speed very quickly. So that we have had difficulties pulling this together, and I think what we need to look at and to understand, I did do helped us with the analysis when we looked at the incremental revenue generated by parking garage and the financing plan. It showed that it was feasible in cash flow. We seem to be carrying that mentality forward rather than looking at the terminal expansion. We have a parking garage, and the enterprise, the airport, has to generate cash flow to cash flow both projects. And that's where we're missing the piece. We continue to use the parking garage as an add-on, but we only have one cash flow source, is the enterprise value of the airport. And so as we do go forward, there may be even more difficult decisions ahead of us. We've already added $6 million in the budget to the expansion plans, which, as we look at both of these now in a fair and impartial manner, maybe we wouldn't wanna put another 6 million in the budget on the terminal expansion, if it meant it wasn't, it was taken away from the parking garage. So I do agree with you, I think we need the overall picture, but we need to look at it as one entity with two projects and how we go forward with both of those. So I support what you're saying. I'm not sure how we would engage IBA at this point, but I think if we start with your discussion also about CFO for hire, we could probably go further down the road on both items.
So I guess, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we re-engage I to coordinate these numbers with Leibowitz and SP Plus to provide what we need to make a decision. You got that, Joan?
Is that a motion?
I think so. If
Second.
Joan's got it, it's a motion.
All right, we have a motion to kind of re-engage IBA to coordinate and pull together our various reports. But I do agree, we do have people kind of crossing over into other spaces here, so we'll close.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any other discussion?
Just one thought, if we did engage IDE, could we ask IDE to have like somebody specific that, you know, whether they turn out to be a CFO for hire or whatever, we're kind of have a point person that could work with us a little bit more closely as we wade through all these numbers.
Yeah, the guy, I think Chad was the person that helped us way back when, and I think he'd be the one that would continue through on the parking side. But I agree, maybe we could ask for them to present a proposal on some sort of CFO role or something like that.
Because maybe it could segue into
Yeah,
that
I
for
mean,
us.
see if they can pull this together, and if they can, maybe we, have them present that.
Okay.
So this sheet here that you received dated October 19th, at the small one that's in front of you, this is what the SP Plus financial team updated
Sure.
to show the incremental revenue with the garage.
Well, my problem,
Is that the number we're looking for, or what is?
well, what I'm saying is, if I look at that, this is wrong. Year one, it's got 6.3 million. This is what I've got from Leibowitz and Horton. I probably called them 5 times, and this,
But Greg, what is your year one? Is that year one when the garage is open and operational, which is 2025?
no,
So year one with the garage, the most recent updated model, shows 7.4 million. That's revenue with the garage. And let me add this was the first time we put the model together where we had a 3-year cannibalization at 29% for year one, down to 0% by year 3. So that's the first time that assumption's been incorporated into this model. Previous models didn't reflect this, which is why the revenue for the first 3 years at least is substantially less.
Look, Greg, I think we're starting to demonstrate the confusion as we go forward with this, because again, as we have these, there's 3 tables here. Revenue with garage, excluding CFC, mills, and rideshare. And then we don't know, as we go back to your last page that was right here, you're saying the first year with the garage is actually year 3 in this cash flow?
So if you go to the 25-year summary worksheet,
Yep.
I highlighted revenue with garage under column header G.
Right.
I'm not sure if all of that's on your printout.
No.
Yeah, that's. So it should be highlighted in this label, revenue with garage, like you stated, excluding VSD, millage, and ride share.
Right,
That's your year one total.
but you're showing total revenue in year 1 at 6.3.
That's about
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, we're getting way in the weeds here.
Here we go again, yeah.
Here's my fundamental problem is, this committee charged me trying to get my arms around this from a financial standpoint. And Rich is on the committee with me, and I said, I just had to get the numbers together before we sat down and looked at it. And so what I've got here from Leibowitz Horton is a really concise 5-year projection they gave me yesterday. But it says it excludes the parking ramp. which I assumed that they were working with someone, SB Plus, because we gave them all that information. So we don't have someone that's meshing this together and coming to us and say, gee, Airport Authority, we think we should use 6.6 million for 23, or we think our baseline should be this. We think construction is going to take 18 months and you're going to get half the income for 18 months. We need someone to put their arms around all of this stuff that we trust and help us make a decision. And so, again, I'm unable to do it by myself. And so I think having I'd step in and help put this together. And I mean, the other thing that I think last time we had I'd do it, and I don't think it was as transparent as it should have been. The key thing for IDE is they're not making a determination. Okay, so they're not putting these numbers together and then saying, IDE Bailey says this is what your revenue is going to be. That's kind of our decision. And so just to make that clear, we're not asking IDE necessarily to study and warrant and determine that we're making this, and we would blame them if it's wrong. So anyway, again, I think we should have SB Plus, Leverwich, and I put it together, and hopefully as quickly as possible we can have
Work together rather than independently.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? And I will contact Chad also and talk to him about it and what we need going forward. So, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay.
That's not this using.
All right. Back to item number 5.
This should be 6.6.
An update from Flint Group on the marketing. Yeah, they don't let me drive.
And I just don't want to.
Oh, and just tell me when to start.
You can start it. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us to just visit a little bit about this 3-year outline for the plan. Hopefully you guys all got this document, the 3-year strategic plan outline. And I'm gonna just talk about this at a very high level, and then if you guys have questions about this, you can ask if we have time, or feel free to ask questions as we go through it.
You guys keep to 5 minutes or so.
Yep. 5 minutes,
We do have
it'll be
minutes
super
and
fast.
have some
I
current
like
stuff.
some stuff.
Okay.
You can go ahead. So this is probably the biggest thing, what Flint is going to do differently. We, as part of the comm plan direction going forward, further define and build out audience personas. We've been basing our work on one basic audience, and so there's a good opportunity to change that and build that out. A fresh creative approach, quarterly brainstorms, which I think will help us keep things fresh and get some of those different ideas that you guys might have into the mix. Board of Directors yearly review, some kind of report card, strategy updates with analytics, aviation industry participation. We had signed up to go to this conference for Quotient, but Paula's going to attend, but we're gonna skip that, but we are certainly willing to do whatever would make sense to invest in that in the future. And then yearly comp plans. So the document I sent you isn't a 3-year comp plan, it's the outline of what we would do over 3 years, and we build that out every year. So the first year will be probably the most extensive from a build out perspective, and then we'll want to change it. A comp plan needs to be fluid, it needs to adjust to things that change here at the airport, things that change with the analytics and the results that you're getting. So we want to make sure that that's a fluid document that can be changed as we move along. We'll skip this, it's just some travel industry trends that we want to make sure we include in the planning process. You guys saw this the last time we were here, and as we talk through strategy, that very top level, the business strategy, a lot of that has to come from you guys. So it's the things like, these are the priorities that we have for the next year. What is the comp plan and what's the strategy to help reach those priorities? So for example, when there's a parking ramp, what kind of communications do we need to do to make sure that that parking ramp is successful? So the business strategy piece comes from the top, and then we fill in the rest of those pieces as we go. But the reason we don't do a full-blown 3-year strategy is because all of those pieces are gonna change over the years. So your content strategy, your message strategy, your digital strategy, your mobile strategy, your tactics are all gonna change based on your priorities year over year. And this is how that comp plan kind of unfolds. The first thing we need to do is sit down with you guys and understand what the goals are. And then we create those audiences, develop a message matrix, figure out the communications channels, choose activities, materials, establish partnerships. There's a huge opportunity for us to strengthen those partnerships that you guys have with different community leaders, implement the plan, and then evaluate throughout. So we want this to continually change based on results. The persona development, we're looking at, right now we have employees, frequent travelers, inexperienced travelers, business travelers, leisure travelers, community influencers and partners. And we'll want to build up all those audiences and have different messages that are appropriate for each of those groups. As we look at the media trends for 2024, a lot of it's social. And I know some of you aren't probably super involved in social. I'm not hugely following the social trends, but that's where people are. And so that's an important piece of our planning process to make sure that we're leveraging those really cost-effective mediums. So we want to make sure that we're continuing to look at that in a smart way and to have that align with whatever your goals are. Just some of the crazy audience users for these different areas. You got 2.9 people still on Facebook. And then the ages for those audiences continue to change and evolve as the younger people get off of those platforms, as the older people get on those platforms. That's why you see such a vast change in Facebook. But you can see that's where people go to get information. So we want to make sure that that's a huge part of our plan going forward. Same slide. Going forward, we want to do a deeper dive into measurement and really looking at data mapping and making sure that we're using that information that's available through the data. It's a much easier job to measure how effective communications are based on the digital footprint that we have and making sure that those are hitting your KPIs and mapping to your goals and then determining the frequency. I like to talk about budget about spending the least amount you need to spend to hit the goals that you need to hit. So we want to make sure that we're effectively spending those dollars to get the results that you need. Just some more examples. These are some examples of some existing dashboards that we have. So we want to show you this type of information as we go forward with your campaign in 2024. There's one more of those. Okay. And then we did some concepts earlier, maybe a year ago, Kelsey, I don't know the timing on this. But what I think we should do during the planning process and the input sessions is review these, determine what you like, what you don't like, and then, see if there's something there that we can leverage going forward and freshen up the creative in 2024. And this is how we would start. So we would do a board input survey that you guys can do online, and then an in-person input session with the Flint team and Hector staff and anybody else that you think is appropriate. Competitive analysis, which we've started to do with some of the social, I don't know if they'd be competitors or people that are within our market that have a similar audience profile. And then detailed 2024 plan. So we would do the 2024 plan, and then as we go through 2024, we'll reevaluate that, and then refresh it for 2025 and 2026 based on goals and priorities. Am I right? All right, do we have time for questions?
Yes, I think we've got time.
Well, I would just like to say thank you. This is really refreshing and kind of what I think we've been looking for. And so not to get in the weeds, but I think starting with that strategic plan and then working forward is great.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think it's been a good exercise for us to review. And there's lots of great ideas that I think we can start to incorporate and talk more about.
When will the survey be ready?
I can have it ready as soon as you guys are ready to
Sooner the better.
go. Okay.
Okay. When you say like the in-person input plan and then it was one of your circles?
Yep.
Maybe that would be a good opportunity for, like we had talked about, the task force of community partners.
Yeah.
To all come together with the airport staff and brainstorm.
Sure. That would work. It's usually about a 90-minute to 2-hour session, so we can certainly plan accordingly. And then once we do the input session and get your feedback through that survey, we can have a plan done in probably 2 weeks. So let's see.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I don't think we need any action at this point.
Thank you, Paula, for putting all the time and energy into this the last 6 months.
Okay, item number 7 is an update on updated resolution that would include the parking garage as part of the project to allow, if needed, the Bank of North Dakota loan to be used to finance some or all of the parking garage. Again, this would go back into the financial plan as we develop it, what would make the most sense. We'd ask the resolution that came forward did not include the parking garage part of that definition. Ask that we look at including that.
I don't know, John Shockley, are you on? He was gonna try and join. If not, it was kind of a placeholder on the agenda because he thought he would have the updated resolution available, but when he contacted the staff at the Bank of North Dakota, it's a little bit more involved process than what he anticipated, so that was the update he was gonna give, so hopefully we'll know more by hopefully next meeting, I guess.
All right, I don't think it's, we're time critical at this point. And again, it's including it in the definition, so it remains a possibility. It's not making a decision on how those funds are used, but again, allowing the option to optimize the financing for the whole package. So that's what we're trying to do there. To me, it does not seem like it should be something that they would object to, since the parking garage is revenue producing and helps provide cash flow for loan repayment. Item number 8, meet and hunt and our community participation program.
So on October 17th, the FAA sent out a notice to 22 airports. Fargo was on the list that by December 31st of 2023, we have to submit a Title IV plan. We were notified back in August that there was a possibility, now to confirm based on our claimants and the second quarter data, that these 22 airports have until then. Meet and Hunt has, Brian Page is his name, has a person that works on these plans. These plans are required before they will issue any federal grants, so their expertise will. And it's not to exceed 33,751, I think Brian can, will be able to do it for less, but they have a template they're working with, quite a few of the airports on this list. I just urge your approval of this.
Motion. Second.
It's your discussion. Good
So my
morning.
question is, what does the Title IV mean?
It has to do with discrimination. We do have some of that already in our lease agreements and posted throughout the terminal, but it's really about discrimination, community involvement.
So it's really to prove to them we're not discriminating. There's not additional funding coming or.
And also, any project at the airport, we have to look at any impact to the community. So if you're extending one way, what area of the community you're overflying, is the poverty-stricken area, there's a whole list of criteria.
So is this a typo on the deal? Because this is Title VI.
If it is, it's a typo from someone else. I agree with you. Well,
Good catch.
Title VI, well, it's actually in the FAA's email as well, DI, so,
So it is Title IV, not Title VI.
I think it's 6.
okay, I misspoke. It is Title VI, yes. I
It is
misspoke.
Title VI, okay.
I misspoke.
Okay, Mr. Capitan's gonna lead us in Roman numeral.
Thanks for catching that. It is Title VI, I misspoke.
We should respond in Latin.
Mea culpa.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item number 9, we have pre-construction services agreement with McGough and PF Powers.
So Spencer is here and Rich, and Stacy had looked through this. We didn't send out all, is it 300 pages of the agreement or more? Because the agreement is identical to the agreement that you approved for the terminal project, okay? Without the federal guidelines. So Stacy's gone through that, and basically in a nutshell, this is the bullet point. It's a $116,000 pre-construction fee. Basically, a CMR fee is 4%, which matches the same fee for the terminals. If you need any questions or you want all 300 some pages of the document, we can issue that to you. If you want your approval.
Sure, I move we approve.
One motion, is there a second?
Second.
One motion and a second. I don't know, John, is it tie? All
Yep,
Any
we
discussion?
can call for a vote. I've got a comment afterwards.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Well, Mr. Chairman, it would help me if we could put just together, kind of a visual chart of who's doing what with all this construction going on. And, just, so who are the point people? So that would be helpful.
I know there's individual meetings, as things are being discussed, possible changes, value engineering discussions. And I've gotten several inquiries from the board members that, could they be informed when those meetings are taking place, kind of the items on it, and if they would like to sit in and could join those meetings. Because it's very overwhelming. I know at the last meeting, trying to figure out 12 million in increases, 6 million in decreases, and sort of the overall effect of that on the project. So if we could, I know that the board members are interested. I know that scares the contractors a little bit, but that I think we'd get better communication, better understanding as we go forward.
So far, they've been Thursdays at 2:00, but then the other dilemma is if 3 of you join, then we have to, how do we publicly announce it? That's the dilemma that we.
Well, I would say that's not a dilemma. It's a huge project. If we have to make it official, we can make it official. I think we should communicate when that is. I think it'd be great, be ideal if one of us was willing to do it continually. I think it's kind of difficult too, if you go to one, then don't go to one for a few months, but I would,
So publicly announce that 3 board members may.
well, let's see. I mean, however you want to do it. I mean, I think you
Well, I
should
guess what
find,
I would say the simplest thing is, if you're planning to attend, please contact Joan, 2 days prior, or what do we need, 24 hours notice, if 3 members will be in attendance.
is there anyone here that's willing to go?
Where are you going?
Zoom.
Well, just to these meetings.
So I, after working with the arts works and whatnot, I'm kind of engaged in the decor aspect of it, like so the interiors and some of the finishes, and I did sit in on one, and I'm happy to sit on more.
I think if you're willing to do that, I think that'd be great. But I
Well, you
think,
just volunteered yourself. Do we want a formal motion for that, or just, I think, if you'll undertake that and be our liaison?
You're looking for a motion? I'll move. If that's what you're looking for.
We certainly can, we have motion, is there a second?
sure, I would second. So the motion would be to have Paul represent our board on the weekly meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck.
And they're Thursdays at 2, right?
Your Thursday's at 2, and then you have a Wednesday, which is the parking ramp, and Terry
We haven't started those yet, but yeah.
Terry might wanna make a comment on that, he leads that group.
I'm kind of worried about the interior design of the parking ramp.
Interior design of the parking ramp.
Question.
Concrete.
Use grade.
They're managed grade.
No, Paul, I really appreciate you volunteering for that. It's a commitment. And if there are things you think others of us should be
Right.
involved with,
Okay.
feel free to reach out.
Yeah, if we could, just get a text or an email as to when those meetings are, when and what time. You are the rep.
Yeah, and I think if more are gonna go there, we should let Joan know and make sure if we do show up and there's 3 of us there, then one needs to leave, right? So just if they haven't had a notification.
Either one needs to leave or they just have to notify the press.
I think there has to be I can't remember,
So,
24-hour.
Do we need to vote on this?
We can vote on the motion, just
Okay.
create the liaison possessions. All in favor of the motion, or,
Aye.
Aye.
okay. Rick,
You got a,
Rick and Rick, did you vote, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay, all of, the motion was approved unanimously.
a lot of times you get the yays and the nays, but that's okay.
That's right. Item number 10, City of Fargo is looking for an easement for a construction project.
This is back before us. They had looked at an easement a couple of years ago to assist with the stockpile of clay for the wastewater plant. We were looking at the north portion of the field north of the Riviera Heights Trailer Park. They've now moved it to the south portion of that field. It's not 100% certain they'll do it, but they need the option in case that they need to. The FAA reviewed it last week and determined under Part 163, it's a 163 determination that the FAA doesn't have any legal authority to approve or disapprove the changes, but we do have to update the ALP. We have to do an airspace study on it as well. So this is the property that they will take out of production. They'll pay us the cash rent that NDSU is paying us for the use of it if they move forward. But your approval today will let them start the planning process and use it.
Motion.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the request. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. We have a request from KFAR Hangar LLC and First International Bank. I guess it's a lease assignment for an underlying financing. Any, is there a motion?
So I'll move.
Okay, and the second, is there a second?
Second.
So my
Discussion.
question is, why is this coming before us? I guess they have a lease between someone else and they're assigning it to someone?
We have a lease with KFAR Hangar and they are now taking out a finance. So if for whatever reason they can't pay the debt, then our lease will go to First International Bank and Trust. So we have to put that on the public record.
Okay,
The tenant may.
yeah, that's a typical thing in finance.
So if the bank loan's not paid, the bank can step into the lease in place of the existing.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Can Sean explain where this hangar is?
Yes, it's in the north general aviation area, it's this hangar right here.
Mr. Chair, Sean, is this where that accident occurred? Where they had, they allowed access and egress into the airfield?
Where the lady drove through.
In a jet? Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Item number 12, again, this is a hangar association name change. Yeah, I was just curious why are we doing that?
Why put it on the public record for it to be recorded?
Where is this one at? Or what are we doing here? Yeah, that's the question.
This is the Air Condo Association in the South GA, just north of the Fargo Air Museum. You can see it on here. Just north of the carousel, north of the Fargo Air Museum, just to the east of the West Wind Condo.
So is it those
Hangar.
4 buildings or those 4
Just
hangars?
one hangar with 4 units. 2 are owned by Dr. Casey Finnis, one is by the Air Museum, and one is by Matrix Properties, which I believe is Jones Construction.
Okay, so they're changing the name of it to something else?
They formed a new condo association, that's correct. It's
For just those 4 units?
That's correct, just those 4 units. The original one was done by Courier Brothers, Dan Courier, many years ago, Dick and Dan Dave. Now that Casey Finnis is the primary, they want to change the association.
Do we know what they're changing it to?
Yes, Fly High. what is it
It's
called?
a high condo association.
Fly Condo Association.
I was curious about that same thing, why is it the condo association?
All
Or
of
is
our
that-
hangars are condos down here. There's 1, 2, 3, there's at least 4 that are condos down there.
So we have one signature on the lease, and then there's sublet or
Individually owned.
Individual, yeah.
individually owned, so we don't have, the others aren't part of the lease.
So he's signing for the condo association that owns the 4 units.
And they do have a membership control agreement in place that includes all 4. So, Dr. Finnis is just the signatory on the lease.
I think if he's willing to do all this stuff, we should let him. I move we approve.
Alright,
Second.
there's a motion and a second to approve the name change, everything else in the lease stays the same,
Right.
the escalator clauses, everything. And is this individually or the association that they were with?
The association,
The association.
he's just signing as a member.
Okay, so then, if there were a default, there's really no assets then, other than the property. But
No assets other than the property.
there's no guarantees or anything.
Well, I mean, this is a lease agreement like we have on many other parts of the airport. It just has to be that the lessee is the condo association versus an individual.
Okay.
So it's the same remedies.
As far as my memory serves, which is about 2 weeks, the condo association kind of threw me when I looked at it. It's a little bit different, but it's,
If you want me to send you the membership control agreement so you can see what the relationship is between the 4 hangar owners, I can sure do that. Or I can send you a little memo that outlines it.
well, what I was curious about is that if we are into condo associations, could we have a master condo association that's charging a higher rate per square foot or whatever the measurement is than we would? Would we want to be in that position?
I think we treat them equal, whether it's a scaffold or it's a condo association.
No, and that's why I'm just looking at this, just kind of, yeah, send it master. All right. Item 13 is, oh, all right. All in favor of the motion to change allow the change of the association name, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. We have a Ventrac tractor mower. So we have impending first snow coming, it's a great time to buy lawnmowers. We have a motion to approve the purchase of the.
Motion.
I have a question. If the Toro is 66,000, why do we want the Ventrac?
So not really comparable mowers. Andrew's here to explain.
So the Ventrac is a very unique mower. It's a dual mower, and it'll mow slopes up to 30 degrees. So like County Road 20 with all the street lights, we can mow. Right now, we're out there weed eating them, because our mowers, we have a Toro, will not go up the ditch and around them. It'll go in through cattails, and you can buy many attachments. This particular mower, we're gonna use it in the summer. Dan's gonna use it in the winter. It comes with winter attachments and summer attachments. So it's a very multifunctional unit, where the Toro was the best they could get close to, and that's not even close. But we tried to get some kind of comparison. So
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Only if we can drive it once in a while.
Yeah.
All right, item number 14, Joe Gustafson with Indigo Signs, we have discussion.
They should get a cab.
I promise you don't have to look through all these now, but here you go, I'm going to screen.
Alright, let's go.
Alright, so Paul and I have been visiting and Paul invited me to come and share with you folks, basically what this is just to let you know options that you might have to, better identify the end of your driveway or the end of your road to turn into the airport. You're all very familiar with electronic message centers, I'll keep it short, you know what they are, how they work. You have a great opportunity right now to let people know what all is going on at the airport. So, John has put on here, there's just a preliminary sketch of what a sign could look like, could be incorporated along with your existing sign, be freestanding down there or whatever. Basically, right now, message centers in your zone should be up as big, as large as 200 square feet. Usually, we don't need a 200 square foot message center, but the code would allow you to go 200 square feet. Message center at the end of at the entrance could do a number of different things. Not only could it promote or advertise the airlines, the restaurants, the car rentals, any promotions going on. You could welcome groups, dignitaries, whoever to the airport. You could do state promotions, city promotions on there. Parking information, it's all controlled by the cloud now, so it's a matter of you can go in and you can update on the fly. You don't have to program it in advance. You can program for mornings, afternoons, days of the week, but you could also program it right now and go, you know what, long-term parking is full, use such and such or whatever, so you can notify them as they're coming into the airport. So there's many different uses for it. Oftentimes it falls into your marketing as well. You can use it, some of your marketing dollars can also go towards it. You can do your own promotions at the end along with that. There's a range of the quality. There's 6mm, 8mm, 10mm, all of them excellent choices. The smaller the number, the higher the quality. You don't need to be afraid to put people and so forth on there, no longer distorted, it's all high quality images and so forth on there. I also included in there, Sean, probably more so for you than anybody else, it shows the nits or the lighting. So if there's some concerns with the FAA and so forth, there's a document in electronics that explains how the lighting and so forth works on there as far as any lighting emissions from that sign. And they could certainly, Daktronics would certainly step in and help with any of that information. Basically, it's similar to what you use as your luggage pickup and so forth. You have a message center there that advertises different things. It would be something that's very similar. And I know the question that you're all waiting to find out is how much will it cost? Rick, why didn't you? Basically, I would say everything is, there's so many different variables to it. I would say to start and get into it, you're looking at probably about 150,000. You could easily go up to 250,000, something like that. But that would be a pretty good range to work with, would give you something. Could you go more? Absolutely. But you would get something very workable, very usable, very efficient for you guys to use in that 150 range. Paula?
So the opportunity would exist to potentially generate revenue with advertising for airlines.
You certainly could, and I say that very carefully.
Yeah.
You would be considered an on-premise sign. On-premise versus off-premise or whatever, so you could certainly charge the airlines to be on there, you could certainly charge the restaurants that want to be on there and so forth, so yes, you could generate. Could you sell it to somebody who has absolutely no association with the airport? No, because it's not an off-premise sign. If you chose to put an off-premise sign, then you have to have a big sign and then you manage it that way. Could happen, probably not advised way to do it. So on-premise, but yes, you could certainly charge revenue to Hertz, or charge Hertz or Avis or whatever, should they want to use it, yes. It could be income generating that way.
According to your artist rendition here, the sign can only be seen from 19th Avenue going west.
No, so that's just the one side of it. Right now,
Is that a double sign?
that's a double-sided,
Okay.
yes. And so, and I would propose that you do a double-sided. Right now, the entrance into the airport is really one-sided. Entrance reads coming from the west. You don't even know that the airport's there coming from the east because your sign reads from the west. It's curved and it faces the traffic that's heading from the interstate. So I would certainly propose that you would do a double face on this. You could do a single face and incorporate it along with the wall sign that is there. If you're gonna spend the money, I would certainly do a double face, you have the east and west traffic.
And Fargo Dome has a model, what can be advertised, when it's not off premise. And it typically ties into advertising package within the dome itself and the news report signs.
Yes, that'd be right. Traffic count comes into play basically right now based on the numbers from 2022. You would probably have viewings of about 27,000 a day. And viewings, we say you take the cars and you take 1.5 people, 1.5 persons per car. So your viewings are in that 27,000 range. Could be higher, that's the number from 2022.
Well, I would just like to thank Joe. Joe is truly a professional that knows this business probably better than, well, I don't wanna disparage anyone else, but no, you've been very good, and I've always thought you thinking about the client and the customer and how to maximize their exposure. So I really appreciate you presenting. And I think this does kind of tie in with what we're talking about in Flint. And as we're kind of looking at, maybe it's not part of the strategic plan, but we get down to tactics. It's maybe one of the tactics that we do that can really see us benefiting the airlines and other people that are tenants of the airport being able to utilize them too. But,
And if you need renditions or whatever, happy to help out.
Sure.
Please just give me a shout. You all have my information. Paula can reach me right now.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
John, is there a way to reach out to all the car rental vendors and everybody on the whole airport? Because technically, if they're on the property, they can be advertising on that sign.
Absolutely, anybody
Get a
associated
feeler
with
for what type of revenue or what interest there is? I mean,
Yeah.
you'd want to advertise
No.
right on the property.
Well, I think my experience with that is it's more of a benefit to those people here rather than saying, well, you pay $500 a month or something like that. Now, I think what we found is we do charge something, like in some cases like this, just so everyone's not just, they have to have some skin in the game, so they pay a nominal thing. But anyway, it might.
Capacity of the sign, so 8-second views is what you normally do, you run through.
Typically, when you do like an off-premise sign, you do an 8-second hold time. You wouldn't necessarily have to do something like that, but an 8-second hold time is.
So Todd LaHaye could advertise he's on airport.
What's that?
Todd LaHaye could advertise.
Yeah,
Buffalo Wild Wings, they're on airport.
Well, you pay.
Jim might remember this, so if Harold Newman and Dick Wallstead and Gary Stewart were here, they tell you the story about Northwest Airlines wanting to put a billboard on 19th Avenue. There's a long, big file on it, and the planning commission, they just shot it down, so. This is coming forward.
Yeah, I would just say though that, with NDSU on the south side of 19th, I don't think they have any billboards there to speak of, do they?
Well, you gotta watch the glide slope and that's some of that area.
They've got the low lit sign.
Oh, no, I
They've
get it.
got
I'm just
three.
saying that there's maybe an opportunity, if there's 27 cars, 1,000 going by, Anyway, I don't wanna get in the weeds here, but I think,
Yes, and this being isn't a billboard that's being
Right.
presented on this. It's truly just an electronic message center for you. So.
First, I wanna thank you for coming. I have a quick question and a comment. So my comment is, I think that this is one more way to reach our public that's maybe not social media when we struggle, like, are people watching TV? Are they listening to the radio? How do we reach people? And it's kind of a great opportunity because 19th Avenue North is so well traveled between events, because of the Fargo Dome. My second question is there a yearly maintenance fee that we need to be aware of?
No, it comes with a 3 to 5 year warranty on there. Service contracts can be purchased.
Okay.
And I can certainly provide numbers and all that when we get down to it, but Daktronics would certainly provide service contracts that go along with it as well as we would with it. So you would know exactly what it was going to cost you going forth. We can tell you what it's going to require as far as power draw and all of those types of things. Daktronics is just one of the vendors. It's a vendor that you also already have at the airport, so it's the choice that I leave with. Watchfire and so forth is another option, but Daktronics would probably be the key one on this one.
Okay, I think it's a exciting conversation to
I
have, so.
would love to see it tied into the parking system, so when I'm running late and racing and understand that
And
there's
you
only
can
parking.
easily do that, you can very easily use that and say that this is full, or this is available,
Go
or
to the
use
economy
this,
lot.
or whatever.
That would be beneficial.
Maybe we could put the picture of our chairman up there too, from midnight to 6 in the morning or something.
Yeah, well, so it's something to target on there.
There's ways of
maybe.
doing that, yeah.
With his home phone number, yeah, just through the construction period.
Well, anytime a flight's delayed, right?
Cause it's your fault.
It is,
Is it?
absolutely.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, now I know.
Well, Jill, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thank you,
and thanks for putting this together for us.
Yep, absolutely.
Number 15 is our employee recognition program. Had a chance to briefly talk about that with Pro Resources. Anything you'd like to add?
Well, I don't know if everybody saw the quarterly update, but it included an employee spotlight, and it was SP plus parking for the parking employees. And so that was one of the things that Jody and I talked about, like a way to recognize or just show a little appreciation of all the different vendors that work on property. And I think that just showing a little appreciation goes a long way. When I'm at the conference this week, I plan to ask other airports what they're doing to recognize employees. I mean, it could be something as simple as a reserved parking spot or some gift cards, or I think there's a way to show the employees on, at the airport that we appreciate them. So
Right.
I think it helps with employee retention as
And
well.
we'll have that presentation coming at a future meeting from Pro Resources and so forth.
But thank you for incorporating that.
Yeah, item 16 is an update on the corporate aviation meeting. Paul and Rick.
Yeah, I can just be brief on it. I thought, appreciate Joan and Sean and Darren, the staff, for helping coordinate that. We had Sanford, RDO, some of the companies that really utilize Butler, utilize aviation here for their business, for their growth. And there were a couple that couldn't make it. Shields and Bell weren't able to make it, so, but basically I pulled my notes up. We talked about the master plan of the airport, north side construction, terminal expansion, ramp, FOD, which is really important to these pilots. It's a foreign object debris, so it's like little pieces of concrete or things like that. So when you start up the engine, it can be sucked into the engine and damage an engine. And so I think one of the things that came out that, I was impressed with, on the south ramp, it's an old ramp and it's kind of falling apart. And Sean talked about one of the things they're planning on doing is putting a surface coating over that they think will help reduce the FOD and extend the life of that. So I thought it was really productive. Kind of coming out of that meeting was a desire to talk about maybe with the tower, the FAA that's at the tower, because it'd be good for these guys to connect from a safety standpoint. One of the things that I was very concerned about is when I did go through the tower, they've had power outages there, which, again, means their radar doesn't work. And so, I think they're working on that, but these are things that would be good for them to communicate. And then the other thing was just operations here at the airport. That would be a good opportunity at this next meeting for snow removal, anything that our staff can say, hey, be aware of this or think about this, or maybe they have a way of communicating better. So the objective is really just to open up the communications. I don't know if there was anything that needs our action, but again, I think I'll appreciate it.
Is the intent to continue those meetings and try to deepen that relationship as we go forward, or just as needed?
Well, I think I view this niche as one of our customers is Hector Airport. So I think, and they wouldn't say this, but I would look at Shields and Bell Bank, and they would attribute their growth to the ability to get employees out of Fargo, go to these different markets and get back that night or the next day. And so I think I would like to, again, do these and then maybe once every 6 months or once a quarter or something like that. I think, and I think for our staff too, you tell these key chief pilots what's going on, and they tell their 10 or 15 employees, and it's a good way to communicate stuff all the way through, so. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to force people to come, but, you know, they seem appreciative. I don't know, Sean, what did you think?
It was good. So the next one's November 15th.
Yeah, I thought if we're gonna do another one, quickly try and get everyone in, do it before we get into snow. Might be a little late already, but.
We're trying to find somebody from Marlin Windows as well. They fly in every day from up north.
Oh, that's
Not based here, but.
Yeah, still, that'd be great.
And Menards does as well, but.
I know they do that at MSP, cause, Cargill, Target, Honeywell, all those guys get together.
Yeah.
I don't know how often, not, you know, maybe
They're a
once a quarter.
What's that?
They're a significant customer.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's kinda
absolutely.
getting-
And I guess that's probably more our role, just get those people together so they can socialize and understand what's going on. Cause no one else really can do that. I mean, Shields can't call them all together and, you know, what's up, or Butler or someone else, so.
Thank you for facilitating that.
No, not at all.
All right.
I have one more thing.
Yes.
I probably should have asked Jody if you had, or if your team had any feedback on the sign and how maybe other clients have, you know, what your feedback would be.
On Jelson?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think from an information standpoint, it's a smart addition, so I don't know, I struggle with how much revenue it would generate, and I think Rick or somebody brought that up too. Cause all of a sudden, you know, if you're trying to sell ad space to the people that are tenants here, that could be a challenge, but so be realistic about what that could look like. But from an information standpoint, I think that's certainly is a smart way to share, especially with, you know, like you said, it's really hard to know if you're reaching every single person that through the channels that we currently have, so. Everything helps, I think it's just prioritizing.
You would say that's one of the tactics when we get down there.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I also think like a plane with a sign behind it would be really good, but I'm saving that right now, so I don't wanna make a total decision on this.
Skywriter too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, item 17, construction and security update.
Terry has been waiting. Terry Stroh?
Yeah, can I share my screen?
Yes.
Really? Let me know when you're ready.
Do it.
You guys see it?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Got it?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
Hit share screen and then click the screen you want. There you go.
Yeah. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just a update on what's happening with the garage. We are, whoops.
Gonna park at Fargo Theater.
We had a email from Rick about, possible different locations for the garage, and so, I'll have to admit, it was a question I had for Scott from Walker, and he's not able to be on today, but, so I asked Scott to kind of put together some stuff that, talked about why we think the garage needs to be where it is and the configuration it is. And as you see, if you read these points, it really has to do with availability of the parking closest to the facility. So we want the highest use, best price parking closest to the facility. And for all these reasons in here, it starts to diminish that. And then the other thing it does is and I'll show you this in a graphic form, but it starts to get people, driving to a parking lot that they could park in for cheaper, or going to a ramp that they could spend more money and go farther south. What Rick's idea was, and it's true, is the idea of not completely cutting the parking lot off from the airport. And so being able to maybe make the transition to parking and to the airport easier during construction, which is true. It's just, it ends up probably compromising the success of our ramps for that reason. And another thing here would be the risks of the configuration. We actually would end up having to take out another at least 100 stalls to do it on the west side, because there's a lot of stalls actually that we wouldn't have in our garage that are kind of west part of the garage, or west of the garage, and so they do have to come out anyway.
Could we see what he's talking about?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
So what, I guess my question is, what are you looking at? Are you looking at, you're comparing two locations, right? Go to the garage?
What we're trying to do, Rick, is just tell you that I went through the process with Rick, and it's really about ripping the Band-Aid off once. So, it's like driving in here and say, if this isn't here, and the parking ramp's here,
okay,
you would drive through here and then possibly park over here and actually farther away from the airport. And so we really do feel that keeping the rectangle east and west orientation and configuration of the ramp makes the most sense. And so it's kind of a rip the Band-Aid off one time, and then it gets really easy. The other thing that we have done is we've looked at how we're going to build it, and we've been talking with precasters about the idea of bringing two crews in and actually starting in the center and working east and west. We would put the ramp on after the ramp would go on after the parking structure was constructed. So we would start out with about 300 stalls. We'd have about that we would be displacing. We'd be at 370 when we're working on the ramp, and then we'd be back to 300 when there's some we're working at putting some, we call them scrims, over the openings to try to keep mitigate the snow going into the ramp. So that's something that we're working on. And realistically, we have this area to use, and they're really thinking they're going to end up, and this will be more for the exterior of the building pieces than anything. They're really thinking about coming in and actually loading within the ramp and coming back out again, come in, and then same thing on this side. So they're thinking, after putting foundations are done, we could probably be 6 weeks into this and have a covered parking area to walk right through the center of this thing during construction while they're building the rest of it. So I think we're going to end up having a little better situation than we've got in terms of the timing of when we can get to the airport a lot easier. So we're kind of excited about that. And then we're, why is that? Okay. So right now we've got the Revit model out, so our kind of a schematic design, Scott's still messing with it for efficiencies, looking at all the options that we need to do so we can build it such that it can be expanded easily. We've talked with EV charging companies. There's a myriad of different charging things you can do. These guys have done most of them that are in Fargo, actually. So that's something that we're working on. Again, action ideas. We got soil lines done, so, we're able to start getting estimates on footings and foundations and stuff like that. So what we're hoping to do is have a schematic design presentation and estimate for the November 28th meeting. And so that will be reasonably detailed because it's so much simpler than, the kind of like what you guys are joking about, what are we going to do for the finishes on the inside of the parking ramp. I mean, it's pretty much, precast and elevators and, so it's not super hard to necessarily estimate. It's really kind of the things you want to do to make it look better and also at the same time mitigate snow. So, those are the kind of things that we'll be working on and we'll have a presentation and an estimate for you on the 28th of November.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Terry?
Not a question, but a comment, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
The reason I went and talked to Terry was because the hit to short-term parking revenue to take it 100% of it out of production and some of long-term. The question then was, could we keep all of short-term parking by cannibalizing some long-term to short-term while a ramp on one side or the other was built? And is it feasible? And after walking through with Terry, the rationale was pretty sound that tear the Band-Aid off, do it one time, have the shortest distance. And so I just wanted to vet it out and be comfortable with it.
Okay.
He did a great job.
Anything else?
Long-term parking lot expansion, Superior Electric put the lights up yesterday that the parts finally came in for those. I believe they're finished with that, the long-term lot. Mortier, Darren, do you want to give an update on what you heard last week as far as being able to seal the joints as far as paving?
So the paving, they finished mainline paving yesterday. They're doing the hand pours today and tomorrow, so all the concrete should be done by the end of tomorrow. We're still working with them on doing some sealing, so that we can utilize portions of that. Alpha 1 has been done. We sealed that Sunday night. We're just waiting for a good break so we can open it up and try again Friday. So, other than that, the electrical is coming, was it this week or early next week for the Bravo and that North GA project. So, it's coming along. They're running out of time and they know it.
Security system, they have started the transition in this terminal with employees with the new system and access cards, so pilots around the area are gonna be impacted here pretty soon, but they've all been forewarned. Gate 4, the new bridge is in, operational hopefully the end of this week. Friday, it'll be operational, so the boarding bridge is there if you want to take a peek. Communication line from the tower to the ARF station is still in process, pulling lines. Chief Noyes, do you know? Didn't go, so it'll be from there. September, 8th consecutive record month. Okay, September is the 8th consecutive month of record boardings. Let's see here. Our next meeting was is scheduled for Tuesday the 14th. I'll be in DC at the National Guard meetings with them at the Pentagon, so I'd suggest we hopefully meet on Thursday the 16th if that's possible.
Joe, do you want to send a little word to see if we can make it? Go struggle through without you too. I'd be surprised what we come up with on our own.
One of the things, so Madison, I see, I'm gonna put you on the spot, but you've been in communication with the city on a follow-up on that crisis communication plan, correct?
Correct, and actually Terry's been spearheading that on our front.
Okay, so Terry's here as well, so.
Yep. So I did talk to Brady last week, him and I met, and so we'll move forward with creating the functional annex for the crisis, or for the communication part to go into the larger emergency plan. So we'll get that put together and submitted for the emergency plan.
And as you leave today, if you wanna go down by the Delta counter, you'll see the green tape still down there. You'll see the green tape as the meets and bounds for where this elevator is going to be going in. So right in front of the Delta counter, you'll see some tape on it. That's all.
Okay. Motion to adjourn or any other discussion?
I'd just like to comment, I did have a chance to visit with a person on the airport authority in Sioux Falls and had a real good visit with them, and they're just completing their $60 million parking ramp, and they're planning an expansion of their terminal. And he was very interested in finding out what we're doing, and I think if possible, it'd be good to have their executive director maybe come up here, or even for us to go down there and see what they're doing. I think I'm a big believer in not reinventing the wheel, and it'd be interesting to find out what their challenges were in their terminal expansion and with the parking ramp, and maybe there's some things that we can avoid by learning from them. So, throw that out.
They're just starting their terminal expansion journey.
Right, they're just finishing their parking lot and they're starting their terminal, so.
Didn't you have some dates that were possible for a visit?
He sent you dates, he was
Yeah.
not available.
Oh, just a bit, not available, so is there,
Just email him, tell him when you're coming.
So we would have to.
because we had talked about
expand that to
going to visit, doing a tour?
We'd expand that to maybe try to meet with some of their board members also.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out, I think we ought to figure out how to start a dialogue there and figure out a way for us to get down there, maybe quick for a meeting or, anyway.
Absolutely. All right.
They're a competitor, but, also not really.
Friendly competitor.
Let's steal their ideas, if they got any good ones.
No, they're just like the Jacks. They're a competitor. Don't forget it.
Yeah, don't tell them anything when we go down.
No.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Vote by legal.
Aye.
Opposed?